Hey guys, IntelliJ here for another video in the series of how to make a Minecraft client for 1.8.8, I think. Yeah, it's been a while, I know. This will probably be the last episode of the series because I'm just not that interested anymore in this sort of thing. It doesn't mean it's the end of the channel, but if I do upload anything else, it probably won't be part of this series. I don't know if I will upload anything else, but the possibility's there. Anyway, so in this episode we are implementing an in-game GUI with things like a list of enabled modules in the top right, keystrokes and a few more things that aren't really that important, but you know, simple stuff. So, to start off with, we're going to be making a new package inside UI called in-game, just for organisational purposes. And we'll make a class called custom in-game GUI. This will extend GUI in-game. Oops. There we go, import that. And now we need to add constructor, and there we go. Now we can go into the Minecraft class, find this line right here, this.ingame GUI equals new GUI in-game this, and we change GUI in game to custom GUI in game and import that. Custom in game GUI. Whoops. There we go. Import. Right, so now if we run the game, nothing should have changed, which is what we want. So there we go. There we go, so we've still got the hotbar, or the other, you know, whatever. So, we can close that. Now we can actually start making our own GUI elements. So we're going to make, at the very top, we want private Minecraft MC equals Minecraft.getMinecraft. Private font renderer font equals MC.fontRenderObject. And then import. So now we can override the function public void render game overlay with a float of partial ticks. Then import. No, don't need to import anything actually. Right, so I'm just going to put super here, and then in here is where we can make our own GUI elements, sort of. I'm going to put everything in separate functions just for easier, like, organisation, but you can just put things straight into this function. So I'm going to have a function called render info, which is just going to have stuff like the client name in the top left, or FPS, or whatever else you want there, and we're just going to call that there. So, right, we're going to have font.drawString. Do it with a shadow. I'm going to do it without. We want it to be tutorial.instance.name, which is the name of the client, and then I'll just do it 2, I guess, X and Y, and then 8 Fs just for white. Basically the first 2 Fs are the alpha value, I think, and then the last 6 are the hexadecimal colour code, basically. So you can get any sort of colour. Let me just go to colour picker. Hold on. Okay, I've got a colour code, and basically we just put it there. So now, if we run this, I'm going to click this debug thing up here, just so we can see things change as we change them in the code. So there you go, tutorial in the top left. It's a bit small. We can do something about that. If I do gl11.gl push matrix, and then gl11.gl scale f, 1.5f, 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 let's say. There we go, great. We also want to gl11.gl pop matrix. There we go, to prevent these errors. Basically, this scale thing, you could change that to, say, 2, and 2, and it'll get even bigger. Basically, if you change them and change different values to different things, you'll get sort of stretched text that's not going to look very nice, so I'd recommend keeping them all the same. I'm going to stick with 1.5F for all of them. What else can we have in the top left? I guess we can have the FPS, just so it's easier than accessing the F3 menu. Speaking of the F3 menu, when that's up, we kind of want it to hide the in-game GUI just so that it doesn't overlap. So what we can do there is if we do I think it's mc.game settings.debug show debug info. So if that's not enabled, then we render info. So now, there you go, you can see the name of the client disappears when we've got the F3 menu up. Nice. So now we can display the FPS. We're going to do font.drawString, chat formatting. You can do that for colours if you want like a single string to be different colours between it. I'm not sure how to explain that, but we can do chat formatting plus then FPS plus, let's do another chat formatting thing, grey, and then that plus chat formatting.white plus mc.get debug FPS, and we'll do that, say 2 and then 22, and the colour, it doesn't really matter because we've used colour codes, so we'll just do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's white. There we go. So now I've got the FPS displayed up there. I might want to move it across the axis a little bit. Just put that at 10 maybe. It's a bit much. 5. That works. Okay, so now I've got the FPS displayed there. You could put basically anything up there as well. Just, so say for example you wanted to put your coordinates, you can do that. You just change that to say X, and then instead of mc.getDebug FPS, it's mc.theplayer.posX. Oh, that's for a start we need to move it down like that. And we can also do math.round, just so that we get a nice whole number for the X coordinate. So there we go, and then we can obviously do the same for the Y and Z coordinates. So Y, Z, we want to move that to 40 and 52, and then Y, Z. Save it. There we go. Got the coordinates. Obviously this isn't necessary, but it's just an example of things you can put up there basically. Quite simple. So, yeah, we've rendered the info, and now I get a lot of requests for displaying like the enabled modules in the top right of the screen. So for example, if I was in survival, I'm enabling fly now. Obviously it's working, but you can't see that it's enabled. So that's fairly simple to do. Oh, creative. I'm going to close the thing just so we can have this in full screen. So now we want a new function called render ArrayList, and then there. We want an array list of module of all the enabled mods. Is it going to equal a new array list module? There we go. And we're going to fill this up by doing for module m colon the instance.moduleManager.getModules. That will loop through all of the modules, and we can just do if m.is toggled, then enabled mods.add m. There we go. So that should fill up enabled mods with all of the, well, enabled mods. So if I, for example, did system.out.println, just enabled mods, and then run the game. Just wait for it to run. Then you can see down here we get an empty array, and then if I enable fly, we get fly in there. If I enable something else, they go Calora, we get Calora and fly in there. So fairly simple. But logging into the console is not really helpful, is it? So we want to, first we're going to sort through them, and then kind of sort them by the, like, by how long the name is. So for example, if you had, say, fly and Keystrokes enabled, and then say step or something, we're going to order them by how long the names are. So we want the longest name to be at the top, so Keystrokes, then step, and then fly. So that's what this line of code that we're about to write will do. We want enabled mods.sort do module 1 and module 2. We want to get the string width of m2.getDisplayName, take away the string width of m1.getDisplayName. Basically, this entire line will order them in the correct order. So, also getDisplayName we're using because if we have like a module with a mode, say for example fly, that would show up as fly, say vanilla if you had the vanilla mode on. So it would actually move it up to the top when it sorts it, because that's what will actually be displayed in the top right. So we're going to start them at the same Y as 2, the same Y as the name of the client. So, and then we have for module M, which is enabled mods, that will loop through all of the enabled modules. We want to draw string m.getDisplayName. We want to draw this, hold on, I need scaled resolution SR equals MC, no, new scaled resolution MC. And then what we can do here is we can do scaled resolution.getScaled width, take away font.getStringWidth m.getDisplayName, and then we can just take 2 from that so it's not too close to the right of the screen. The Y, we draw that at Y, which is this right here, and then the colour, I'll just do the same colour as what we did for this. And then we want to increment Y by, say, 10 every time. Now what that will do is, well, obviously draw all of the enabled modules in the top right. So we go into a world, and then enable fly. You could see it's in the, I'm not entirely sure why I've got that little symbol there, I'll have a look at that in a moment. But there we go, it's ordered by the length of the name of the module, so it looks nice. But yeah, fairly simple. So that's something I've got a lot of requests for. That's probably my most requested thing, which is why I'm doing it in this video for the sort of last episode. So I'm going to have a look at that fly thing. I'm not sure why I had that strange symbol. Okay, it's here as well. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think that's probably because I copied it all from the GitHub, because I've got a new computer since my old tutorial, so I had to just download all my old code. I'm not sure if that's a formatting error when it was uploaded, but you shouldn't have that issue. So, what should we do next? Keystrokes is another thing I got a lot of requests for. So, we want a new function called render keystrokes, and then private void render keystrokes. And then we want the scaled resolution, same as here. You could just do that outside of everything, but I haven't, so yeah. So this is fairly simple. We just want to gui.drawRectangle. I've already figured out all these numbers myself before the video, just for simplicity. But basically, I don't know why I did 29 take 29 there, because I could just do 58, but oh well. And then the height, take away, yeah, I guess this is just me testing stuff, but yeah, so we draw it at the very bottom right, but then we take away 50 of the x coordinate, and then however many, 4 take away 25 take 29 up from the top. This is going to be the sort of obviously there's like W, A, S and D, so we're drawing the W at the moment. So the right of it is going to be sr.getScaledWidth. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. So getScaledWidth, take 4, take 29, and then sr.getScaledHeight, take 4, take 29. And the colour, we're going to do a new colour, 0, 0, 0, and then just do 125 for the alpha, .getRGB. Keep in mind you could just do this as like an RGB value, but this is me testing stuff out to see what looks nice. It was easy to edit. So if I now run the game, then you can see a little rectangle in the bottom right, and that will change as we minimise and maximise the window, or whatever. So then we've got 3 more rectangles to draw. It's basically the same thing but in different positions, so I'm just going to copy it, paste it, and this one we want to take an extra 29 from it. The height is, we don't want to take that 29, sorry, and then take an extra 29, and then, oops, just take 4 there. So now we've got another rectangle, or square technically. And then same thing again, but this time the height needs to be the same as the above one. Same x coordinate as the W because they're on the same thing. And then the width is going to be the same. The height would just be take 4. There you go, there's that square. And then for the D key, we want just take 29 for the X, and then it's basically just all the same thing. But and then just take 4, and then just take 4 again. There we go, we've got the nice little squares. So now we want to draw the text on them. We want font.drawString W at the width, take 48, then the Y is going to be scaled height, take 49, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, just white. And then you just copy this 2 more times, or 3 more, sorry. And A, S, and D. This is at take 77, and then take 20. Keep in mind these values, as I've said, are from me experimenting beforehand. There's no real reason as to why they are these. It's just me messing around and trying to get them perfectly centered in the squares. So then I did 48.5 for this. You could do some maths with getting the string width and whatever, but I just didn't want to be putting that much time in, to be honest. I was a bit lazy. But now if we save it, got the letters in there. That W looks a bit off centre, but it'll do. So yeah, there's no way to know if they're pressed at the moment. So what we'll do is change the alpha value of the squares that they're in. So I'm not sure if this is the best way to do it, but it works. So we're going to want a variable called W alpha, and this is going to be a what's it called? A ternary operator, I think. It's been a while since I've done Java, or any programming at all, to be honest. So I want to check if the key bind forward is pressed, and if it is, then we want the value to be 125, and if it isn't, then we want the alpha value to be 50, sorry. So if we change this 125 here to W alpha, and then save it, now you can see it's sort of very light, but when you press W, it lights up. So there we go. I want the same for these, so A alpha, S alpha, and D alpha. We want to create these, so just copy this 3 times, A alpha, S alpha, and D alpha, and this is going to be keybind left. Oops, keybind left. Then S is keybind back, I think, and then keybind right. So if we save that, now you can see we've got our keystrokes. It's not very like smooth, it's not animated or whatever, but if you want to put the time in to do that, it should be fairly self-explanatory if you know sort of the basics of Java and just programming in general. So yeah, finally for this video I'm going to be I've got a few requests for how to sort of draw the player in the top left. Sort of like when you've got the player here, you can see in the creative inventory it kind of like moves around. Like if you're running, for example, you can see the animation or whatever, and you can see what they're wearing, for example. I've got a lot of requests to do that in the, like, display that always in the top left, so I'm going to do that. It's fairly simple. You could do it in a more complicated way that would cause it to look better, but I'll explain that in a second. So we want a new function called render player, and then private void render player. We want there's already basically a function for this because of the, if we look in GUI inventory where it's actually like displayed, there's a function called draw entity on screen right here, and we basically just take advantage of this function to draw it on the actual screen at all times. So we want GUI inventory.draw entity on screen. I've already got the X and Y values, as I've said before. I have pre-coded all this, so I know what I'm doing. So we want it at pos at the X to be 80, the Y to be 55. The scale, this is sort of how big it is. I like 25, makes it look, well, kind of works. Then mouse X and mouse Y. The reason we need this is, I put it at like 100 for example, and I'll explain that when we get to it. And then we want to draw the entity, the player. We could draw in any entity there if you wanted. You could figure that out yourself, not too difficult. But we want to draw the player. And then go into the world, and you can see it in the top left. However, the reason it's looking up and left is because of the mouse X and mouse Y values, as I mentioned about 30 seconds ago. So basically when you're in the inventory, it moves following your mouse. So if I put the values at like -50 and -50 and then save it, you can see it turns to face the bottom right or whatever. But if we just keep them at 0, basically it just looks straight in the middle. So there you go, that's how you draw the player in the top right. So if I was, for example, holding something, it would display up there. And yeah. So that's basically it for this video. I mean, there's nothing else for me to explain from what I can think of. That's all. That's most of the requests I've got for in-game GUI stuff. But yeah, as I've said, this is probably the last episode of the series. I'm not saying it definitely is, because I might become interested again and do another video, but I wouldn't hold out hope for that, because it's very unlikely. But yeah, so thank you for sticking around all this time waiting for another tutorial, because I've currently got, let me check, I've currently got 983 subscribers, which is incredible, to be honest. I wasn't expecting that when I checked recently, but yeah, we're very close to 1,000, which is incredibly surprising, which is kind of what motivated me to do another tutorial, because I felt I had to mention it somewhere publicly. But so yeah, depending on how long it takes me to edit this and upload it, we might already be at 1,000, because I'm normally very lazy. But if I decide to get it edited quite quickly, then we're still very close. Subscribe. Yeah, I mean, as I've said, I'm not promising I'm going to upload again, but it would be nice to just get to 1,000, to be honest. Because it's definitely a possibility that I'll upload again, but probably not. So as I've said, don't expect anything. But yeah, basically that's it. I don't have anything else to mention. But, so yeah, I don't know what to say really. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. So, goodbye.